And Warren and Stuart Watson here at the Montgomery Waters Meadow, where Ipswich Town have had an extremely comfortable afternoon, almost as comfortable as my vocal cords. We're trying to get over the top of these mowers to talk about Town's 3-0 victory at Shrewsbury, which keeps them top of the table, and it keeps on rolling still.
Good energy to that intro, I liked it, matched the energy of that Ipswich Town performance. That was all very comfortable, Andy. It's a bit of a weird feeling coming to an away game, and Ipswich were in control, I thought, from the very start to the very end of this game. Denied a stonewall penalty, easy for me to say, in the 4th minute, when Kane Vincent-Young is scissored from behind in the box from Tom Flanagan. If you haven't seen the still image of that tackle, go and check that out. Somehow it's not a penalty, could easily have been a red card as well. I don't know what the double jeopardy rule is these days, but thankfully that didn't matter, because Ipswich did get the lead not that long afterwards. 22nd minute through Tyrus John-Jules, added a second 7 minutes after the restart through Connor Chaplin, and once that second goal went in, never in doubt this game. Ipswich were in cruise control to the end, icing on the cake through Caden Jackson rebound finish in stoppage time. 3-0 win, 4 straight wins, point clear at the top of the table.
All is good in the world of Ipswich Town, isn't it? You're right. I think you've summed up the game really nicely. There's one of the goals to talk about individually would be Tyrus John-Jules, but in general, as comfortable can be. I think you saw the effects of a Shrewsbury team that have played and given everything in games against Wycombe and Derby in the last week. Ran out of gas, I think, by Steve Cottrell's admittance today, and Town just did not look like letting go of that lead. While it's 1-0, you always fear a mistake could get them back into it, and there were a few errors in the Ipswich side today. Some loose balls, some things they would want to do better. But ultimately, it didn't cost them, because Shrewsbury didn't lay too many gloves on them, and comfortable, extremely comfortable, and it's a really good feeling and a good trait to have, I think.
We'll come on to some of the positives. We'll talk about John-Jules' goal and some other things in a minute. We'll call this section "Keeping Our Feet on the Floor," and just a couple of things that are worth highlighting. In that first half, Kieran McKenna says technically that wasn't where we want it to be, and there were quite a few unforced errors, a few little slack, loose passes in there. Lee Evans was the guilty party on more than one occasion, but there was a few Ipswich players that just gave the ball away a little bit cheaply. They struggled to get their rhythm going in that first half. So that's point one of keeping our feet on the floor, and point two is the context of Shrewsbury coming into this game. Unchanged side from playing Derby in midweek. Derby had 70+% of the ball in that game, and like you say, I think Ipswich's depth of squad probably came to the fore. McKenna makes 5 changes today. He's obviously got the luxury of replacing good players with good players, and that maybe had an impact for Ipswich Town today. But again, just like Burton, just like MK Dons, forget about the opposition, take nothing away from Ipswich. They had to take advantage, and they did.
Well, that's one of the things I really liked about this one. So get back into shot a little bit. One of the things I really liked about this game actually was that 5 changes on the team sheet. A few that you might raise a little eyebrow at when that team came out, but Ipswich can plug and play these players, and that was a really good thing, I thought, today. That a few of these players coming into the team, plug and play, in they go, system stays the same. Yes, there were a few little disjointed things in there, but they wasn't in doubt. It wasn't a team where you saw 5 changes and everything changed. It was, I think that's the value of a system and an ethos that everybody's kind of bought into. I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed Tyrus John-Jules' goal as well. His first league start today, and a first goal, which was really enjoyable. A good mix of hard work and graft, and then some class as well. If you can mix all those things together in a single goal, that's all right by me. Yeah,
we've seen him sort of impress off the bench in that one of those dual number 10 roles in pre-season and off the bench early on. He replaced Ladapo as the number 9, the central striker. Today he looks like he's got all the attributes for that. McKenna explained afterwards that the reason behind that is that he wanted a striker to drop deeper and pick up little pockets of space. Shrewsbury have got quite an experienced back three, and Pennington, Dunkley and Flanagan, and he just felt that John-Jules kind of dropping deeper would cause a bit more damage today. Horses for courses, and that's exactly what happened with that early goal. John-Jules chases back hard, robs Leahy of the ball on the blind side, turns, drives into space. Just a nice little subtle faint drop of the shoulder which left Dunkley on his backside and just passed it into the net and made it look very easy, didn't he? And that was a big goal. You always feel like once Ipswich can get in front, they can keep control. Half time came and McKenna says that the players led the conversation. It's a bit easy with the mowers stopped, isn't it?
Yeah.
Led the conversation about, we remember what happened here last year. Back end of last season, Ipswich were 1-0 up, fully in control. Didn't look like there was any way they could throw it away, but throw it away they did. Burgess with that silly red card, and then Sean Morley scored a thunderous shot from outside the box. So the players are very aware of improvements that can be made sort of game by game on last season, and this is another example of that, isn't it?
The Wally with the volley. Can I give another whirl to the segment things I like from this? Because there's three things I want to say that I like. Two of them are stats. One of them was something that I saw, and I'll go with something that I saw. And we discussed this just before full time. Was Town's left side. We talked about right side being sort of a right-sided imbalance in this Ipswich side. Wes Burns doing a lot of heavy lifting last season, and we know that the left side is something that needed to be improved. And I think you saw signs of that coming along today, didn't we? With Leif Davis and Marcus Harness connecting. I quite like Harness and John-Jules link up too. There was some neat interplay down that side, and I think you said halfway through the first half, the second half, sorry, that actually Town were more of a threat down the left. That's not a bad thing, is it? So that's the thing that I like. Here's two stats that I like. One that's been doing the rounds the last few days. That Ipswich Town under Kieran McKenna have kept more clean sheets than they have conceded goals. Wow. Which is ridiculous. And another thing that I like is something that kept on track on for a few weeks and ties into what you're saying about what the players are saying in the dressing room. Town have improved on last season in each of their 5 league games this season, and if you take it quite crudely, they've picked up 11 points now this season they didn't pick up last season, and they would finish 13 off the playoffs. So we know there's ground to make up, and to have improved their result on last season's equivalent in every game so far, that's not bad. I like that.
Early days, long way to go. We've been here before, of course, but it's hard not to feel excited tonight about the direction of travel Ipswich are heading in at the start of this season.